morning, everyone, and welcome to a new edition of the Big Joel Show. Coming to you live, not really, we're taping this, from Upper Georgetown in Washington, D.C., and just to give you a feel, because we release these when they're edited and ready, it is November right now, not quite Turkey Day. But I'm super excited today because today I have David Brooke in the studio with me. And I'm super excited not only because he sells a lot of real estate, not only because he sells a lot of real estate and he's a young guy selling a lot of real estate, but because he's well-spoken and I think can articulate his points. And I think those of you watching today are going to get a lot of takeaways, a lot of cool things that you can do in your business from watching or listening to this podcast to immediately affect you literally selling more houses. So I've got David Brooke here. David is with Keller Williams in the great state of Connecticut. Connecticut's kind of one of those funny states. There's basically like Hartford, and then there's like New York City Metro, right? And the rest of it's like Connecticut. You know, like everyone, you can get everywhere in like 5 minutes, right? It's tiny.
Everything's
tiny
30 minutes away.
Right.
Yep.
Big attitudes, but tiny, right?
That's exactly
it. So David is with Keller Williams. And David also is one of those guys. We'll talk a little bit about this later, but he's in the what's the top secret program called? It's the Super Team program. What's it called? The top secret. Here's how we're going to keep our awesome producers program. So David also, not only does he sell a lot of real estate on his own, he sold $20 million, I think, year to date already, or in the last 12 months. What's your average sale price?
Yeah, it's $240 for Connecticut, and ours is $270 on the team.
Okay, so that's a lot of real estate. That's a lot of units. Not only does David, run what you all would traditionally call a team, I call it running a branch, but running a team, but he's actively producing all day, every day. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So when you look him up afterwards, you're looking for him, you're going to see him coming at you that way. But today, we're going to really talk about what he does in his business every day. So, David, tell me, I got lucky. These guys flew in last night, got to have a little dinner. That was a pretty good dinner.
That was delicious, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, my man over here who's kind of skinny, usually I'm suspect of people that are skinny. Like, I'm like, wait, that guy's too skinny.
I think this is the first time
I
you've
have
been
a
called skinny
problem with
ever.
that. Okay, all right, let me translate that. Skinnier than me. How about that? Anyone skinnier
fair
than
enough.
me, I'm typically like, okay, I don't know if I'm down with this. He's too small. But my man, after the apps, ordered 2 meals, and then I'm like, okay, I like him. Now he's in, because I'm a guy that eats 3 dinners when I'm in New Orleans. It's all good. So I'm like, okay, now he's in the club. It's all good. So, David told me last night, we were talking about, I was telling a bad story that we're not allowed to tell anymore about pledging, which we don't do it anymore. Now there's new initiates. When I was in college, David said, I didn't go to college. And I said, hey, that's cool, whatever. So you're 32 years old.
That's right.
Which is an extremely young buck in the real estate. What's the average age of agents? 57 or something like that? Or
something like that.
NAR 56.5 or something like that.
Right.
Pretty old. And, we always talk about old people like me. We always talk about, we need more young people. We need more young people.
That's right.
And I always tell young people, I'm like, man, why would you not want to do this job? This is the highest hourly rate ever.
That's right.
Your buddy, who's the same age as you, is slogging away somewhere 9 to 5, making an eighth of what you make, and it's amazing, but it's really not a young person's world for some reason. I don't know why. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But he's 32. Tell me, did you graduate high school and did you go get a real estate license?
I did graduate high school. Yeah.
And didn't you just go get a license?
I didn't. No. So I went from graduating high school. Got started in waiting tables and waited tables from anything from like serving seafood to fine dining. We're actually, I feel like some of the best real estate agents out there are waiters, right? Waiters, teachers, that kind of high customer service experience. So I went from that and actually got into construction and started building houses. And then from there, my father was running a real estate appraisal shop and just needed some help around the office with tech stuff and really started getting into that and enjoyed what he was doing. And so got my license as a real estate appraiser. So that was like back in 2009.
2009, so right after the massive crash and all the crap.
Yeah.
And then when did you actually start dabbling? When did you start trying to sell houses.
Yeah, so good. Try to sell houses.
True.
That's it.
That's what everyone does at the beginning.
It's like
Yeah.
you try. So I thought it was going to be a lot easier because I was going out appraising real estate and meeting these real estate agents and thinking, oh my gosh, I know way more than these guys do because, just the dynamics in the real estate appraisal industry, you had to know your facts. And got into that and started selling in 2011. I joined a small broker owner, one-man shop kind of thing and got started trying to sell real estate there. Yeah.
And then you probably realize very quickly, those of you that have listened to my show a lot or have heard me live, know that in real estate, your job has nothing to do with real estate. Your job is to find people who know people who want to buy or sell real estate, become best friends with those people, and get them to refer the people to you.
That's it.
Your job is to get referrals.
That
you, the pup, looking at these agents you don't even know what a downspout is.
Yeah.
I know so much more than you. Then you're like, whack. Wait a minute. I have no referrals. So it doesn't matter what you know about houses.
Right.
Right? Literally doesn't matter because
Right.
if you have no one to sell a house to, it does not matter.
That's exactly
so
right.
2011, you get in, and I want to do the backstory here because this guy's young, and he just went meteoric up very quickly in units. So you got in, piddled around. Did you have a good first? Did someone teach you or no?
Not really. I mean, our experience was kind of learning on the fly, and the broker owner would just kind of teach you as you went. I got probably 8 listings within my first 90 days, which I thought was pretty great.
And probably went nuclear, right?
Yeah, it went nuclear. And I'm hoping you mean nuclear in the bad sense of it, because that's
you
exactly
probably
what it was.
Blew them sky high because you didn't know anything.
I didn't know anything, and I was approaching it I used to show up for listing appointments, a full 1004 URAR appraisal form, and I drop it on the table, and I'd be like, "This is how we're going to sell the house." And whether it was, I think it was just my network of people just knew me, let me, trust me, and would list with me. But the problem was that I had no idea what I was doing in the real estate
Are you
industry.
born and bred Connecticut?
Yeah.
Hartford area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
yep, yep.
So you're, of course, making that assumption. I'm from here. I know what I'm doing. I'm good.
Yeah, not only was I, and then candidly and vulnerably enough, arrogant enough to think that, I was arrogant enough to think, okay, my appraisal background is going to give me the cutting edge in this.
You quickly learned.
I quickly
Nobody
learned.
cares. I tell people all the time, the 2 greatest sales techniques, guilt and sympathy. And people are like, wait, guilt and sympathy, how do I use that? There's no script for that. I'm like, yeah, that's what the emotion you feel when there's actually a relationship with someone.
Yeah.
So when you're getting a referral from someone with a relationship,
Yep.
that's your edge. Not knowing
Right.
anything about appraisals.
Well, I think the thing was
Yeah.
logic makes people think and emotion makes them act. So
Right.
I would present the logic of the appraisal, and then the emotion part would be, I know you like me, we have trust with one another. The problem was that I didn't have a guide, I didn't have a mentor to go along with that,
Yeah.
and it was just, I'll tell you, Joel, vulnerably, out of the 8 that I probably got in the first 90 days, I think I expired 6 of them.
I was going to say 6 is, that's 25%. That's actually pretty good for a brand new agent with no help. If you
bad.
think about now, not to segue, but just, the newer agents that you have, again, I'm going to say in your branch, but on your team, and you think about what they need.
Yeah.
Like the things they come to you with. And, sometimes I'm sure that you have to do what I used to have to do. You used to have to go, hold on, I need to sneeze. And you're really not sneezing. You're just like, I cannot believe they're asking me this question. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then you have to turn yourself around because you don't want to, you don't want them to feel bad, but
Yeah.
you're like, wow, you really don't know this, huh? Okay, holy crap. Someone should have taught you this and you don't know this. So what'd you do? Did you make it a year at the small brokerage? And then where did you bounce to?
So I share this openly with a lot of people. I mean, I credit carded my way to making mortgage payments and everything else. I mean,
Normal, you're just being honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no secrets here, right? So I made it a year in. I made $19,000 my first year as a real estate agent.
Nice.
I remember looking and showing my wife, and she was like, "Well, wait a second, didn't we schlep around in the car and hand out magazines with your broker's business card on it because he told you that people would call then into the brokerage and he would give you leads?" And I was brainwashed enough to think that's how we're going to get business.
So how long did you make it small broker?
Small broker, we did about a year and a half, but I was really hoofing it, man. I was really trying to sell every listing I could. So I'd get the list of every broker around, and I would just send my listings out to them. I'd call people. I'd encourage them. I was hoofing
Marketing
it.
properties.
Oh, I was hoofing it.
And then where'd you roll out to?
So an office manager for then Prudential Connecticut Realty gave me a call. We went out to Simsbury, Connecticut. So I was in West Hartford, in downtown West Hartford. Went up to Simsbury and started working out of there. And actually,
now you were in big corporate real estate. Big difference,
yeah,
right?
Little bit different, a lot more systems, a little bit more hand-holding with the manager model that's there. And then the actual construction that I used to work back in the day, that builder called me up and said, hey, do you want to list our subdivision? And I remember walking up the actual patio that I had laid.
Did you have to put them on hold and like run around, do the happy dance, and then come back?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Where no one
actually.
could see. Like,
It was wild, man. I walked up the patio steps that I had built to his office and walked in that door and out of the door with $10 million in listings because of just commitment to being in this business. Most people think, I'm going to get into this business and make a ton of money, 6 figures right off the bat, year one. And it's possible in certain groups, teams, atmospheres, but for me, it wasn't that case.
All right, so let me ask you a question just to go off with the order that we're in. Okay, so if I'm a, there's 2 parts to this question. Number 1, I'm watching this podcast because I was thinking about getting into real estate. Maybe I got my license. I got sponsored by who knows who.
Yeah.
What do I do? And then part 2 would be I'm in real estate right now, and I'm doing a whole lot of SpongeBob watching at 10 a.m. or I'm cold calling and getting hung up on all day long.
Yep.
Tell me, number 1, if you're thinking about getting into real estate, and this is going to mean more because you're younger for people, and I'm a young person, okay? Mm-hmm. What are your top couple of things? Like, what do you do? Like right away, I'm watching this at home. Yeah. I want to get into real estate, or I just got my license and I'm clueless.
So some people say, and I'd agree with them at some point, you're the sum of the top 5 people who you hang around with, right? And so if you're hanging around in real estate, watching podcasts like these can be extremely beneficial because you're going to hang around and get information from guys like you, right? I think in nearly every other career out there where there's a vital, there could be lives on the line, or there could be, massive implications if the job is done incorrectly. You have this mentor apprentice sort of model. You have this, discipleship sort of thing going on where like you're going to be an electrician, you're going to follow around a master electrician. You're going to be a doctor, you're going to do your residency somewhere, and you're going to follow along somebody who's practicing the profession. But in real estate, we seem to just like hand you a business card and like say good luck.
Here's a desk, here's your phone.
Good luck,
Get
man.
out of my face, you're on your own.
Freaking good luck. And so you're doing your best, and that may be how somebody ended up on this podcast here. Is they're like, I need some stinking help. Top coaching programs for real estate, and your name comes up, and they like watch your podcast.
So how would
That's the issue.
in a market in Topeka, Kansas?
Okay.
How do I find David Brooke? Like how do I find the person? What would you what recommendation would you give them? What they don't know a lot of people.
Yeah.
They know some people. They just know they got their license because their aunts, uncles, brothers, stepbrother has a license, and they watched him get a new car.
Yeah.
Whatever. What do you do? Like where would you look?
Sit and learn at the teacher's feet. Like that's the number
How do you
one
find
recommendation.
The teacher?
I'd interview for it, right? Like back in the day.
All right, so stop. So everybody listen to this. He said I'd interview for it. Okay? Very important that you understand that. He also said a bunch of other stuff really, really fast that I want to recap. He used a term that I use all the time. If you want to get paid like a doctor, you got to do residency, which means you got to live in the hospital for 2 years.
That's right.
Get paid nothing.
That's right.
And learn.
That's right.
Okay? So, one of the things that people nowadays, especially with young people, everything's like, right? Wait till you have a 10-month-old, right?
I do. 10 and a half, yeah.
Wait till that 10-month-old gets his or her learner's permit.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, drive me to Burger King. We're going to get like some of those new tacos at Burger King, and they nav it. Okay. Yeah. Now you're 32, so you're going to understand it. Me, I'm like, here's your ADC map book. Look it up. Okay. When you see how lazy, because everything is so fast, what's happening is, if you're watching this is not fast. There's nothing fast about this. You want to sell as much real estate as this guy, there's no finger snapping. There's nothing you could possibly do. You couldn't buy it. There's no way. The only way you can do it is to learn it. And guess what? There's no books on this. There's really no. There are some master's programs now that put residential in there, but it's really commercial. Is what's going on, and so you have to be willing to learn, and you got to be willing to sit there and learn and do all the things to learn. And what I find with agents when I see them fail all the time is they get so big for their britches so fast. They're like, oh, he's doing that. Oh, he's not paying me enough. I need to make more. I'm out.
Yeah.
And then if you look them up in 2 years, they're on a used car lot somewhere.
That's
I mean,
exactly
they're out because they weren't willing to learn. So find a person and be willing to. Do you think is it for a true sort of apprenticeship? Do you think it's 2 years? I mean, if you're with the right person?
Yeah. I would just generally say this to answer the question that you originally asked. How do you find someone in my position who would be willing to teach? I would interview for that. I would go on some of the top websites to see the most reviewed real estate agents out there. Look to see them that they already have.
Where would you go? Like Yelp? I mean, where would you go? Yelp, or would you go with like Google? Would you go Zillow?
Yeah, you could do any of those big time websites. Zillow might be one of them because they actually show if the team has, or if the individual is running a team. That's number one, and has something built out in place. I will tell you, it's just my perspective, a team that's not built out already is going to still be in like R&D for how to do this.
You don't want to be there.
You're going to be the guinea pig.
Right.
You're going to be the guinea pig. So find a team that's already pre-built out and sit and interview and ask them the types of things. And they should define three really clear things for you: training, support, and some sort of like lead generation. Learn how to lead gen. We're going to teach you how to do that. If they do not have that built out, or if it's just some like really shallow answers, next.
Now I'm a new agent. I'm already working somewhere.
Yeah.
I did what every brand new agent is. I took a script that someone gave me. I called everyone in my CRM.
Sure.
I told them I was an agent, which, by the way, I do not recommend at all. I told everyone that I was an agent. Got hung up on by most people. Became a pariah at all family events immediately. As in, when I got there for Thanksgiving, everyone was like, "Holy crap, David Brooke is here! Run! He's going to try to sell me something. Run!" Okay, but I've done all of that.
Yeah.
I got my cousin's nephew's uncle's stepsister to list her house that with water in the basement.
Okay.
$50,000 over.
Nice.
I got that done. I got one sale from someone that I met somewhere or whatever, and now I've literally proverbially shot it. I'm done.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting in my office like everyone else, waiting for a lender, a title person, or a termite guy to come in with donuts so I can pound them.
Sweet.
Okay, and doing nothing, looking around, literally not knowing what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know this, real estate with the commissions that we pay today, look, there's not a ton of support in there. There's not someone in there to spend all day, every day with you. Everyone is
not
doing
the
their
model.
own
You're
thing.
Right. Yep.
Who do I talk to, in my office, and how do I approach them if I'm in any kind of standard brokerage? It could be Keller Williams, it could be RE/MAX, it could be Coldwell Banker, start EXP, name all the big places.
Yeah.
How do I identify what am I looking for? Now I'm in the office.
Yeah.
Who do I want to approach? And what do I want to say? And by the way, this right here, this is going to get a lot of comments. Because I've never asked anyone this question before, and this is huge because they don't know what to do.
I would say for the most part, you are identifying probably 85% of the people who are out there.
Okay, but
would you agree?
How would you want to be approached?
If I'm
what would you want them to say to you?
Number one, I want to see humility all over that person, right? The ability to sit there and learn
and realize that they do not know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean that's the first step to anything, right? Like if you have humility, it is the beginning of wisdom, right? That's what the good book says. So if you can take that to heart and you can approach somebody and say, "Listen, man, it looks like you know a lot of what you're doing. Would you be willing to, if I showed up here every single day on the dot, you told me what to do, I didn't buck you on it, and I just do it, do I have a shot here?"
So did you hear that? You're going to want to replay that. That's literally, he's asking, the mentor. You want to be the mentee. Just said, are you willing to do what you need to do? And let's just put it out there. Are you willing to do what I'm telling you to do?
That's exactly it.
And if you're not, don't go have the conversation. But if you can get there and someone had that conversation with you, you probably ask about 3 more questions. You're like, let's go.
That's exactly right.
You're ready, right?
Right. I think everyone that, who I talk to in the business, who we actually turn away from the team, is they're looking to entrepreneur the system that you have because they're looking to take it and be like, hey, guess what? I bet I could like figure this out and like edit your program like really quick. Right. And that's the problem is we're not looking for you to reinvent the wheel that is already running because you're still sitting in the pit stop, right?
That's right.
Right? Like you haven't even
earned the right to change a tire.
That's exactly right. That's right.
Okay. All right. So let's get down and dirty a little bit.
Right.
Let's talk about buyers for a minute. Okay. So tell me the things that you do when you get a new referral
Okay.
that you think make you unique or
Okay.
maybe a little special.
Yeah.
And we'll start with a buyer first, and then we'll go to a listing. You're extremely experienced at this point, which means I know you probably are lean listing a little bit more. But let's
right.
start with buyers because
Yeah.
you can't get to listing leaning unless you get buyers nailed.
And let's be clear about why that is. So a lot of people ask me all the time, they want to go right out the gate into listings. You do not know how to list a property if you do not know who's buying it, right? What they want and what's in their mind.
Hear that? That's huge right there. You do not know how to list a property unless you know who's buying it. That's a good one right there. That's a really strong statement.
That's exactly in anything that you're selling. So when you're in the listing appointment with the seller, you have to know in your mind already, based upon probabilities, experience, who is buying this house. Is it a family of 4? Is it a family of 2? Single guy moving in, just professional? What is it? Because you're going to market that. You're going to stage it that way. You're going to, everything of the conversation, what you're telling about the listing is going to be around that.
So to bunny hop buyers,
Yeah.
even if you could, is a bad play. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Okay, so you got to put that's the residency.
Yeah.
You got to do the work. You got
have
to do buyers are liars.
You
all
have
that stuff. People
Yeah,
say.
suck it up, dude.
Okay, so what makes the David Brook experience with a buyer a little different? What are some of the things that you do? Do you, for example, I've had agents on here that will do anything in their power, and it doesn't matter whether they're a lower end or higher end market, to have FaceTime with the person up front. Meaning, unless they're physically out of the country or reloading in, they will do anything they can to get in front of the person. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm just going to tell you our approach, okay? If you have a buyer who's coming in for a referral, let's say, Joel, you refer me over a buyer, okay? It's going to be, I'm quarterbacking. I'm in control.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, hey, here's a really good thing that we're going to do. You're probably going to email over the referral to me. It's going to be on like a CC to email. Here's David. You know, he's going to be helping you out in Hartford, Connecticut. He's going to show you, you know, a couple of houses, et cetera. I'm going to say, hey, great, John, when's a great time for us to have a phone conversation? That's the first thing that's going to happen. And then on our team, we have a list of questions. It's like 20 questions long. That's going to jog your memory because you're never going to remember all the questions about important things to the buyer. And all of those are going to lead us to ask the right questions to fully understand what this buyer is going to look for. Because you and I, when we do anything over and over and over.
So you have the David Brook 20.
That's exactly right.
And did you set that up yourself?
We did.
Is that so? Give me some examples of what you think are more unique questions on there.
Yeah, here's a good
Because
one.
I could guess probably 12 of them.
Yeah,
give me the more unique ones.
Okay, so most people are going to ask like, hey, do you want a fence? Right? Why are they going to ask that? Because they're really asking another question. They're asking, do you have kids? Do you have pets? Do you love privacy? Right? It's all of those types of questions that we're going to start to ask around them. Like, I'll ask the question with you.
You might say, do you want a fenced yard?
No.
What do you? How do you ask it?
Hey, John, when you walk out in your backyard, close your eyes. Picture it for 1 second. What do you see?
Okay, so that's the way you ask the question.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody take note on that. That's pretty cool the way you did that. Okay, and then you let them tell you, and then I say, oh, I see like a manicured yard,
right?
With like a board-to-board fence.
100%, because you don't know otherwise. If I just asked you, hey man, do you want a fence?
And then you say, as soon as you hear that, what do you say next?
I said, so John, does that? Am I guessing this correct? Do you have a dog, maybe some pets, anything like that that we should be mindful of?
And then you are.
Then I'm writing this down.
Hey, now listen, everybody. It's very important because this is where it starts. This is where agents fail all the time. It's unbelievable. I'm like, how could you not have written that down? Okay, because I don't care how smart you are. I'll never forget when I was at the beginning of my career doing loans. My dad, who's an attorney, was watching me do stuff, right? I had like 90 loans in process. He'd be like, listen, I want to explain something to you, you cocky little shit. You know what I mean? There's going to come a time when you are not going to be able to remember all this stuff. You need to start writing stuff down.
That's exactly right.
Because I was like remembering everything.
Yeah.
And, this again is like a stupid little thing. Oh, yeah, Big Joel Show. Yeah, they're telling us to write stuff down. Guess what? Most of you are writing nothing down. So hear it right here. I have a feeling you could probably remember it if you wanted to, and you're still writing it down.
That's exactly right.
So now you wrote the note, sees a fence, wants a fence, and then you go forward. Oh, 2-year-old, 4-year-old.
So what's that tell you as well? As a real estate agent?
5-year-old pug.
Nope.
Right?
Hey, I'm going to just ask you a question. Busy roads? Is that a problem?
Right.
And they lead into question to question where you're going through and asking these things. Because here's the next step.
So I have the big money question.
Yeah.
Okay. If one of my viewers wanted to see the Brook 20, are you a share guy?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Okay. So I'll tell you how to get a hold of him after. But okay. So all right. So that's good. Let's keep going because I knew this. Remember you said, what are we going to do? Look at the clock.
Yeah, you're out.
That's already. No, look, it's 25 minutes already. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people are going to check out. So the David Brook 20, which is great. Now, question. Do you, if you can, get them in front of you to do it? Do you try? Do you care? What are your thoughts on that? Let's assume they're local. They're right in the market. They're in an apartment 10 miles from where your mothership is.
Yep.
Are you trying to get in front of them, or do you feel your conversation over the phone is enough?
I'm going to win them on the conversation over the phone first, right? Either there's a connection or not. Either you're asking the questions that nobody else is or you're not.
Okay.
So I tell my guys, you are never likely not the first real estate agent they're going to talk to unless it's a warm referral.
Okay. So let's assume this is a warm referral.
Warm referral, meet in person.
Okay. So you do, and then you're doing the 20
it's called
right
the buyer
in front
consult.
of them.
So nobody goes, this is like extremely clear. I want to be like, just hammering that point that you said earlier. You do not get leads. You do not get anything on this team until you can learn to memorize the actual purchase contract, your exclusive right to represent, and hold a full buyer consult with me personally or the mentor on the team to be able to do exactly what we're talking about.
All right. So now you've, under the guise of time, you've done the David Brook 20.
Yeah, right.
I'm just going to flash over this because we could do a 4-hour podcast on how to interview somebody. You then say, do you have them do research on their own? This is so interesting. It's 2019, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's logged into all kinds of stuff. Do you want them to do that, or do you actually say to them, okay, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to go about your business. You've given me so much information to do my job. I'm going to call you in, 36 hours, and I'm going to have some cool stuff for you to look at. Where do you go right there? This is important for people because with technology, there are some agents that are so strong and are so dialed in. They're like, go into every website you want, man. Go look at anything you want. I'm going to do my stuff here, but go, man. Let me know.
Yes.
What are your
I
thoughts
think what you're
on
asking
that?
is, what do we do to set expectations? That's exactly what
What
we're
are you doing next?
Okay, so
you did the 20, you schmoozed them,
right,
and now they're out.
So
what
we've done the 20. We've done the 20. We go through the actual contract. We say, hey, probably there's some myths that you've heard along the way. Do you mind? It's going to take us 15 minutes to walk through an actual purchase contract because there's so many myths that happen.
So this is someone that's just thinking about buying a house. You're doing that with.
We're doing this with. Okay, we go through that entire process.
So just to clarify, he's going now. This is with someone that may never buy a house with you.
That's correct.
You're spending the time now. Are you in front of them for that?
We're in front of them.
That's belly to belly.
It's got to be
only.
audible.
Okay.
Yep.
To actually go through the process of buying a house contractually.
That's
by the
right.
way, not a lot of people do that. By the way. Very few.
They really
agents actually
should.
Very few. agents do
really?
that.
I didn't know I needed to put my deposit down. Now? I don't do a home inspection first before I buy the house?
They say it
all
but
the time.
They're not really doing what you're doing. So you're investing. You're putting the capital in right there. So now we're done that. I'm just looking at the clock. Now we're done that.
Loan options. That's the next thing.
Okay. Are you approved? You don't want to put someone in the car. Now, so question. Is there any scenario at any time where anyone is ever getting in your car or another car following you that either you haven't seen proof of funds to purchase if it's a cash buyer or has spoken to a lender you trust?
You're not going to like this, but yes, there are scenarios.
And those would be extremely unique scenarios, correct?
That's correct.
And you are the only one making that call, correct?
Could be. Authorize my agents to say that this is a business decision for you, right?
Okay.
And agents have the ability to make that decision. Let's say they've gotten a call for it. Hey, we're coming in out of town, and for whatever reason, they.
But that is the exception, not the rule.
That's correct.
The rule is we want to make sure you can buy a house.
That's exactly
before
right.
We take you.
And the question is not just how we did about the fence. We're not asking, do you want a fence? It's, hey, have you taken advantage of some of the best loan options that are out there right now? I make it part of my job not only to introduce you to.
Here's the opener. Here's the opener I like. Not even that one. I go, so you paying cash for the house? There you go, right there. What do you mean? Just ask it. Because if you're not, boom. All right. So now let's say that's all done.
Okay, great.
What's the next step to actually the GUI? The you showing them houses, or how do you handle that? How do you handle that transition? You just did your whole thing. They're all in. They've already told you we love you.
Yeah,
please
great.
sell us a house.
Right.
What do you do next?
So I maintain that quarterback position. So I'm going to say, hey, if you guys are more than welcome to go out there and find houses on Zillow, TrulyRealty.com, go on our website. You can also search for properties, right? Here's my job and what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be looking for the very best houses on it. And then I set the expectations for showings.
How many?
Excuse me?
What is your bogey usually? 5, 6, 3?
Tours?
Agents have weird
3 to 5 on a
about
tour.
this.
3 to 5 on a tour.
Okay, all right. So 3 to 5
3 to 5 on a tour.
when you're putting it together.
Yep.
And your goal is obviously one of those houses is going to be a bingo house.
Yeah.
Correct?
The hardest part is most agents don't know how to close on the appointment. They really don't. They're going to go out on the house and they're going to sit there in the corner. They're going to open the door. They're going to stand in the corner and they're going to be like, feel free to explore and let me know if you have any questions.
It's funny because if you watch, and I have nothing to do with Bravo or $1 Million Listing, but it's funny if you watch those guys, they don't do that.
Never.
At all.
Never.
They're like a host going through the house.
Yeah, you have to be.
So you don't care. You're fine. Go look at whatever you want. Let me know if you see something cool. Send it over.
You certainly can.
Hopefully, I probably found the same house as you.
Right.
But send it over. And a lot of agents will do that because it's almost a cross check to see how well they did their interview as well. Because if someone sends one house over where you're like, why?
Yeah, right.
If you go, hey, why'd you send me this house?
Right.
Oh, we wanted this. You're like, ooh, missed that.
Yeah.
Did not have that in my 20 questions.
Right.
That I wanted to be in a neighborhood where my kid could walk to a community pool that we pay for. You're like, whoa, okay, totally missed that. Why did you pick that house? All right. And then, so you do your tour. Hopefully you find a house. And then you start going through your thing. I want to get to listings because I see the clock already.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to qualify this. This is a warm referral. Okay. Yep. This is one of your clients referring you, maybe one of your friends. Could be me referring you a listing. Hey, David, call this guy and sell their house.
Yep.
So it's warm.
Yep.
Okay. And is the first thing that you do when you engage over the phone, you set an appointment to go to the home? Is that correct? Or what do you do? Walk through I'm going to call it unique, your unique listing just for David Brooke. You're taking the listing.
Yeah, we have 10 pages on how to complete this. You do this start to finish. You say exactly what you do. You're going to have a 90% conversion ratio.
Okay, but go back for a second.
Start right at the start.
For you.
Phone call.
Okay, so you're going to call.
Phone call.
Referred by Joel.
Exactly.
How you doing? Okay. Are you literally connecting and setting an appointment?
Yes.
Okay. So you're connecting and setting an appointment. You know the address of the house.
Yes.
Are you collecting anything else besides the address and a little bit of schmoozing on that call, or it's all in person?
Little bit of rapport building on that. Understanding where, when, why. Those are the big ones. Okay. And then the next one, we have a pre-listing questionnaire that goes out. It's a beautiful type form.
Okay, now hold on. This goes before the appointment?
This goes before the appointment.
Okay. Does it go snail mail, email? How do they get it?
The questionnaire is email.
Okay. So you tell them you're going to be getting an email
That's
from
correct.
us. I'm coming to your house on Sunday at 1 p.m.
That's right.
It's very important that I have this back
It needs
48
to be,
hours before?
Yes, 24 hours is our minimum.
Before you
That's correct.
show up, and you explain to them why.
Yep.
And is the pre-listing a little bit like the David Brooke 20 for a buyer?
Yes, it's 28
but for a
questions.
listing.
That's exactly
28
right.
questions. I'm assuming it's not onerous. Now, I know this is crazy detail stuff, but is it in a GUI form that they fill in, save, and it comes right back, or do they have to print it, or how does it work?
GUI form.
Okay, so if they can get online, they can literally fill in blanks and hit save.
And hit enter if they don't know the question.
And hit save or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you get it back.
That's right.
Okay.
Instantly.
Now, you have it. You know the house is 123 Main Street.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing? What's being done before you post up? And what, tell me a little bit about your process as far as, are you, some agents are getting a feel and a range, and it's in their head, and they basically have nothing in front of them. They want to walk the house before and see. There might be some things they can't figure out. They can't figure out does this house have a brand new bathroom in the basement? They just can't. They weren't able to figure it out doing research, and they don't know and wouldn't want to have a number, so they go in with a range.
Yeah.
And then they walk the house. Tell me your thoughts on that a little bit. I know you sell a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
People will like listening to this. You have the questions.
Yep.
Now you have an appointment at 2.
Yep.
First of all, how much time do you allot for a listing appointment?
So my listing appointment times are anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, which sounds long. Goes like this.
Not really, actually, because you're going to bond. But
Yeah.
tell me about it. What do you have with you? What have you done before you show up, first of all?
Yeah, so my listing prep time takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and it's going to be every town record that we can find on the property, from septic, well, public health. We're going to look at, we use a program called Realist. It pulls mortgage data. Are they tight in their mortgage with that? We're going to look at town cards. We're going to look at past MLS. We're getting all the comps in the area. And then one of the unique things that we do on our presentation, we actually walk through the customer through the market. So I'm going to show you how many closed sales happened within the last 12 months.
This is when you get there.
When I get there.
So this is pre-research.
Pre-research that we got to know.
Hold that thought for 1 second,
Yep.
because I'm going to get you at their kitchen table in a minute.
Okay, got it.
Just so 45 minutes,
And
it
market
sounds
research.
like it's exhaustive. So
Yeah.
again, interesting, right? So the three most stressful things in life: death of a family member, divorce, buying or selling a house.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're walking in and you're going to list this person's home, where, again, you heard me say this when I was in Hartford. I think over 90% of people, when they retire, most of their money will be equity in their home.
That's right.
So you're going to walk into their house, and just because you have a real estate license, does that mean you're James Bond or whatever? You can just roll in there and list their house. This is a very emotional thing.
Yeah.
You are exhaustively prepared, which is what it sounds like.
That's literally what we
at
hear
the highest level.
every single listing point. Hey, you're the most prepared.
Okay,
guy
so
listening.
I won't even go through that because I'm going to run out of time.
yeah, we
but
will.
let's assume you just walked in and now you are greeted at the door and you walk in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you got some stuff with you. You didn't pre-send anything. It's all with you, right?
That's correct.
It's printed.
That's
You're
right.
going to give you're burning
absolutely correct.
trees.
We are
okay?
burning a lot of trees.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
What do you do right when you walk in the door?
Ask to take off your shoes.
Ask them
If we should take off your shoes. Show a sign of respect. Walk the property with them.
That's great. Okay. Would you like me to take my shoes off? And then you say,
Well, you show a sign of respect, and then you walk the whole property. Then right when you're in the basement, 'cause
you
that's
let them know you want to walk the property. Do you mind if
Exactly.
we do this first?
I ask, hey, you selling me the property? And they usually chuckle because they know. And I'll say things like, you know this property better than anybody else. I'd love to represent this well. You mind walking me through the property?
Okay, so there's no kitchen table, there's no sit down, there's no here's my CMA, there's no all this crap.
Nope.
Let's walk the property.
What are you doing right then? You're building rapport with them, and
Now,
you're noting the details.
When you're walking the property, how are you knowing the details? Are you literally clipboard pen? What are you doing?
So I ask, it's in our listing presentation, the training, the 10 pages. Ask if you can take notes on your cell phone, right? Because it gives you
it looks like you're texting.
It looks like you're
exactly.
texting. Yeah, it
okay.
looks like you're
So you
texting.
can do it in your cell phone, or do you have people that do it on a clipboard?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you are walking around.
Yep.
And you literally walk the house. Now, this is important. You walk the house.
You got to
So
walk
go
the house.
outside?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you do in, out,
Attic.
everywhere. You're like
You do ever.
You're like a home
here's what
inspector.
you're gonna.
Huh?
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Are you going to run into vermiculite? Are you going to run into mold in the attic? Are you going to run into all those things? I've had so many listings where the guy goes, you know what, man? I'm giving you this listing. I mean, you might not be the best looking one out there, but I'll tell you what. You went up into the attic and you found vermiculite. You found this, and you saved us thousands of dollars on the back end, right? Because you helped us find it on the front end.
So this is a big point. I think you were cracking up when I was in Hartford, and I was saying to agents when they said, I'm bored and I don't have anything to do. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
And
burn
I'm
a
like,
tank of gas.
Yeah, burn a tank of gas and go
that's it.
look at properties. That's your job. Give me a break.
Yeah.
If anyone tells you an address and you don't know the house there, fail.
That's right.
You're a real estate agent. Give me now. Granted, if it's 100 miles away, that's
Right.
fine. But if it's in your area,
Right.
okay. So be an expert and BASOI. I don't know if you use that terminology. BASOI, be a source of information.
Yeah.
Be an expert. Okay, so you've done all that, and you took notes, and you're schmoozing and talking,
Right.
And now we're at the proverbial kitchen table.
You don't get there. So you usually
You're
end
still
in the
not even
basement.
there yet. Okay.
You end in either the basement or outside, and you say, hey, listen, Jim, people usually ask me 4 questions. What's my house worth? How long is it going to take to sell? What do I got to do in order to prep it? What am I going to walk away with at the end of the day? If I helped you with those 4 questions today, would that be valuable? And you let it pause. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. The guy's going to go, absolutely, 100%. Mind if we go inside, sit down, grab a cup of water, something like that, and just chat about this? He's going to say, great. Open up your laptop, then walk through the market with him.
Okay, then
Yep.
get into the exhaustive research. Now,
Yep.
the $1 million question, and I know this can't be answered. I know there's always qualifications for this.
Sure.
You've done the exhaustive research.
Yeah.
You know that walking in, you wanted to list it at like 309.
Sure.
Okay. Now you walk the property, and now you're thinking either 304 or you might even be thinking 315.
Yep.
Because you saw some things
Yeah.
that you didn't even know.
Yep.
Like, oh, wow, they poured some money in that. Holy
Yeah.
crap. I didn't know they put hardwoods in the basement. I
Yeah.
had no idea. Okay. And you get to that point, and they say, well, what are we going to list it for? What's it worth or whatever? And you say, look, in my professional opinion, I think we should put it on the market at $314.9.
Yeah.
I think that's what we should do. And we'll get tons of buyers. I think it's probably going to sell for between $308 and $310. And, that's just what's going to happen, or whatever you say.
Sure.
I don't even care about it right now. And they deadpan you after everything you've done, and they go,
$350.
You're kidding, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my next door neighbor did this, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
this house is worth at least $345. You got to be kidding me. And the other agents we interviewed, they all said $345.
Yep.
Tell everyone, I try to put this in every podcast with agents because I get great feedback on it. Where do you go with that?
Yeah.
Where do you have exhaustive research, and for you, this is even funnier because you've done more than a lot of agents will do. So you really,
I hear this all the time.
unless you screw it up, you know what the house is selling for. I mean, you've done exhaustive research. Where do you go with that? I mean, literally, do you smile? Do you not smile? I mean, where do you go with that? What do you do with that?
I do smile because a lot of these guys are just for the most part, they're trying to get the most amount of money that they possibly. And you can't fault them for that.
Get mad at them for it.
You can't fault them for that, man.
So where do you go with it? What do you say?
Yeah. So usually it's a smile. And then one of our processes, once you go through some of this exhaustion, it's not numbers. We're looking through a lot of the properties that are out there, and we're asking them, hey, based upon that, this is where you'd end up. Based upon this is where you'd end up. And you have to draw a line in the sand, Joel.
So if they say, look, I want to list this house for $345, and I have 3 other agents that'll do it, and then you go through your normal stuff where you go, well, tell me why.
Yeah.
Because a lot of good agents will be like, okay, cool, sell me.
Right.
Tell me why. What am I missing? I mean, literally, is there a gold mine? Like, is there a trap door? Like, is there something I don't know about?
Right.
And let's say there's not, and they're standing firm.
Right.
You Audi 5000? You gone? You walking?
Yeah, so that's one of the things you absolutely have to draw a line in the sand, because otherwise you're going to spend the money putting that property up there, or you're gonna like just lose that money.
And what do you say
So
when you walk? You're right in front of them.
Yeah.
You know you're walking.
yeah,
It's over.
Sometimes you got to.
What do you say?
So we've got a couple of qualifiers that happen before that, right? Like, so first it's the absolutely not. Here's why I sell properties, not just list them, right? You go through that. If that doesn't work on there, it's okay. We're going to pre-build this in. We're going to compromise on this because I want the property to sell for the highest because I get paid if it sells higher, right? So we're going to write right into the listing agreement. We're going to stay at this price for 14 days, and then we're going to pre-adjust.
The old
down.
downward escalator.
Yeah, you got to.
Now, but what is the point where you're not doing that? Is it 10% above what you said? Is it 15? What is the number in your mind? If you said 315.
Yeah. It's 5% above whatever market value is.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So the David Brook rule is 5%, sorry, above David Brook market value. It's
Of whatever it is.
That's right. Of what you exhaustively figured out.
Yep.
Okay. So if it's 10%, you're walking. There's no downward escalator. You're going to walk. Now, what do you do after? What is your communication with that potential seller that listed their home with someone else?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah. So, I mean, the ethics code will say that we can't reach out to the person, right, if they've decided to list with another individual at that age, at that time. But you can certainly send a handwritten letter or something like that right afterwards, which we recommend doing.
Thank you for
the
considering me,
yeah,
the
exactly.
opportunity.
Yep.
Okay. And then do they go somewhere? Is there like a 90-day ticker on them? Or?
I actually have a folder on my computer called Unconverteds.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually throw them into a cart on my MLS, and I just watch the listing.
Okay.
So as soon as that thing expires, it's just like, and the email goes out. It's like, hey, no hard feelings, man. I hope I, didn't upset you on the first time around. Still love to sell the property. Really respect you and your family or whatever it is. Love to get you down to North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay, so I hope you all heard that. So he's walking, if it's 5% above David Brook's valuation, sales valuation, where it should be listed. If it's 5%, that's your rule, you're walking. You guys hear that? Walking. Like, bye-bye. Because clearly he understands the value of working for free, which is basically what you're doing. And question.
Yeah.
How many in your mind, or factually, you might even know your facts, end up selling for what you said it should have sold for? Is it 100% or is it like 94%?
So transparently, when we do a listing, we actually give it's a number with plus or minus 2%.
Okay.
And the reason that we do that plus or minus 2% in there is for a number of reasons. Not only are we giving advice on the start when we're walking through the property, we're also sending in a stager on the back end that we actually pay for. If they end up doing the things that we're saying, they're likely to be on the higher end of the 2%.
Right.
If they're not,
If they play ball.
If they play ball.
Right.
If they don't, they're going to be on the bottom end of that.
So how many of those unconverteds,
Man,
when you see them sell, you're like,
Yep.
What? I mean, how many is it? 90%?
It's something like that. Yeah.
It's high, right?
It's really high. And the sad part is too, though, those guys that did list for 350, a lot of times when they start hitting the slide. They're not like de-escalating, 5%. They're dropping big time. And then people start saying, hey man.
When you list a house,
Yeah.
there's two reasons why it doesn't sell in 24 hours. It's overpriced or it's a dog. Give me another reason. There isn't one. You know what I mean? Either it needs work in there. It's got a disco ball and purple carpet,
Yeah.
and everything's mirrored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's overpriced. I mean,
Right.
give me a third thing. There's no third
Marketing.
thing.
I'll tell you the third thing. In my mind, there are horrible marketers.
Today, in 2019, with how much is going on in the internet, if you just get it in there, for people to see, I mean, you got to admit
Most
the
markets,
biggest
yeah.
reasons are disco ball. I mean, staging. Things need to be done.
Yeah.
It's a dog.
Yeah.
Or it's overpriced.
Yeah. Price condition marketing.
I mean, that's it. That's it. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock before I get waved off. I could be talking to David for a long time, but I think we got some good nuggets out of there. If you pay attention, there's things. I'm not a bells and whistles, shiny object guy. It's not theory. A lot of people are always like, yeah, well, Joel, that's simple. No one's, that's easy to do. And I'm like, yeah, but are you doing it? And usually the answer is like, no, I'm not doing it. There's some good, simple things to build your business. David, how do we find you? What's the best email?
Yeah, so you can email me at davidbrook@kw.com.
That's David Brook with an E, everybody.
David Brook with an E.
At kw.com.
Yeah.
Are you on Instagram?
Yeah.
And what's your Instagram handle?
David N. Brook.
David N. Brook.
As in Nicholas, yeah.
Okay, David N. As in Nicholas Brook, and you're on Facebook as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can reach out. Now this is kind of cool. We'll probably get at least 25,000 people are going to watch this, and it'd be interesting to see how many people actually send you an email and say, hey, David, that was really cool. Could you give me a copy of your
top 20?
I'm going to call it the David Brook 20, the DB20.
DB20.
I'm just going to call it the DB20 because if I'm an agent and I'm watching this, I don't care how much real estate I'm selling. Why would I not want that?
Exactly.
Of course I want that. So, everyone, that's going to conclude another edition of the Big Joel Show. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Again, you can consume this podcast anywhere you want. We're on every single platform. It's the BigJoelShow.com or the Big Joel Show on YouTube. You can find me anywhere. There's another Big Joel, but it's Big Joel Safari. That's not me, by the way. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you watching. And, of course, we love it when you put comments when we release these. It allows us to keep making the product better and better. So thank you, David. And
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching and listening. Bye-bye now.